Hey guys, thank you for coming to my channel. In this video, I'll be talking about the 3 different types of compound words. So as I just mentioned, there are 3 different types of compound words: open compound words, closed compound words, and hyphenated compound words. So I'm going to start with open compound words. There's a space between the words, but the words still create a new word that has its own meaning. For our examples, we have real estate, ice cream, post office, loss prevention, fishing pole, police officer, punching bag, sleeping bag, bathing suit, sippy cup, and so on. So let's just take the word punching bag for example. As you can see, punching has its own meaning. Punching means I'm punching somebody. And bag has its own meaning. A bag is a bag that you carry, but there's also multiple bags, like different versions of bags. So when you put the 2 words punching and bag together, it just has one meaning, and it's a punching bag that you use for like boxing or conditioning and whatnot. But if you take punching, it has its own definition, and if you take bag, it has its own separate definition as well. But when you make compound words, they only have one meaning. Next, we have open compound words in sentences. So our first example says, I'm eating ice cream for dessert. As you can see, ice has its own meaning and cream has its own meaning, but the compound word ice cream has one meaning altogether, and ice cream is something that we eat for dessert. Also, another tip to help you remember open compound words, there's a pause in between them. So like ice cream isn't pronounced ice cream, it's ice cream. Like there's a short pause in between open compound words. Example 2 says, I just bought me a new fishing pole. As you can see, fishing is one word and pole is another word, but when you combine the 2 in a compound word, it only has one meaning. A fishing pole is something that we use when we go fishing. And example 3 says, I'm wearing my pink bathing suit to the pool. As you can see, bathing is one word and suit is a different word, and they both have different meanings. But when you combine them into a compound word, they only have one meaning. Next, we have closed compound words. Closed compound words are formed when 2 or more different words are linked together. Those words have different meanings, but when they come together as a compound word, they have one meaning. Closed compound words don't have a space between the words. Here are some examples: fireworks, waterfall, treehouse, fairy tale, eyebrow, football, cheerleader, crybaby, basketball, earthquake, firefighter, and so on. And just a tip to help you remember these closed compound words, they don't really have a pause in between them. So for example, fireworks isn't pronounced fire and then works. It's more like fireworks. Next, we have closed compound words in sentences. So our first example says, I'm going to the basketball game tomorrow. As you can see, basketball is a closed compound word. There's no spaces in between basket and ball, and it only has one meaning. Our second example says, my best friend is a cheerleader. As you can see, cheerleader is a closed compound word. There's no spaces in between cheer and leader, space, and the word cheerleader has one meaning. And example 3 says, my favorite football team is the Dallas Cowboys. As you can see, football is a closed compound word. There's no space in between foot and ball, and the word football has only one meaning. Also, notice how these words are pronounced as one, and there's no spaces when you're pronouncing them. Pauses. So like basketball is pronounced quickly, cheerleader, and football, and you don't pause in between pronouncing the words. Next, we have hyphenated compound words. They can function as adjectives, verbs, and nouns. So for our adjectives, we have know-it-all, kind-hearted, free-spirited, and so on. For our verbs, we have check-in, hand-picked, sweet talk, and so on. And for our nouns, we have mother-in-law, brother-in-law, merry-go-round, and so on. And I'll be elaborating on these in the next few slides. Hyphenated compound words as adjectives. So they're only hyphenated if they're used before the noun that's being modified. So in the sentence, my free-spirited friend is coming over tomorrow, friend is the noun that's being modified. And as you can see, the compound word free-spirited came before the noun. So it was okay to use a hyphenated compound word. But if the sentence said, my friend is free-spirited, there would be no need for a hyphen because the noun is coming before the hyphenated compound word. So, in other words, the hyphenated word has to come first in order for it to be hyphenated. If it comes after the noun, then it doesn't need to be hyphenated. If it comes before the noun, it does need to be hyphenated. Next, we have hyphenated compound words as verbs. So our first example says, I blow dry my hair when I get out the shower. As you can see, blow dry is a verb, and that's why it's hyphenated. And our second example says, don't second guess yourself. As you can see, second guess is also a verb, and that's why it's hyphenated. Oh, also a verb is an action word for those of you that didn't know. Next, we have hyphenated compound words as nouns. For example, we have mother-in-law, brother-in-law, merry-go-round, checkup, well-being, and so on. And also a noun is a person, place, or thing. So our first sentence example says, my mother-in-law makes the best chocolate chip cookies. As you can see, mother-in-law is a noun and it's also a hyphenated compound word. Example 2 says, I fell off the merry-go-round because it was going too fast. As you can see, merry-go-round is a hyphenated compound word, and it's also a noun, meaning it's a person, place, or thing. It's a thing. Our next example says, my annual checkup is scheduled for this month. As you can see, checkup is hyphenated. It's a hyphenated compound word, and it's also a noun, meaning it's a person, place, or thing. It's a thing. Also use hyphens for compound numbers. For example, 45, 93, 65, and so on. Our first example says, my grandpa turned 76 this year. As you can see, 76 is a compound number, and that's why it's hyphenated. Example 2 says, I was 23 when I got my first tattoo. As you can see, 23 is a compound number, and that's why it's hyphenated. Example 3 says, this year I'll be turning 28 in November. As you can see, 28 is hyphenated because it's a compound number. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this video informative. If you did find this video informative, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, or all of the above, and I'll see you next time. Bye.